justifying rents that are on the increase. Shamefully they plead, the people try. All the vacant properties, we can see them in our towns. Sign the papers, take down the boards. A home, not a hotel, a home, not a hostel, a home, not a cardboard box on the side of the road. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. In this world, in this life, it's a basic human right to have a dignified place you call your own. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. Safe and warm where you belong. Everyone should have a home. We've got landlords in government who vote and legislate in favour of investments they control. Our leaders, they facilitate and wave away the emergency created at their door. All the money vines get richer, the poor just fade into hovels and holes they can't afford. Dystopian evictions, ruthless repossessions, a wealthy country's people in a stranglehold. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. In this world, in this life, it's a basic human right to have a dignified place you call your own. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. Safe and warm where you belong. Everyone should have a home. Safe and warm where you belong. Everyone should have a home. Thanks. I'd like to call on Richard Boyd Barrett to say a few words. Thanks so much, Richard, for everything.
Well, to be honest, there's very little more to be said after the words of Martin's song, because it says it all. It says everything about the failure to address the most basic human need for the people of this country to have a secure, affordable roof over your head. But it is remarkable and inspiring what Martin has done to come up. It truly is, to come up for 200 weeks all the way from Cork, someone who himself has been impacted by the housing crisis, but to sing this song and in his quiet but powerful way to maintain that protest and that vigil, calling on the government to do the right thing and solve that crisis. And as his song really highlights, and it is a shame, and it puts the government to shame, it puts our society to shame, is that the reason this could persist for the 200 weeks, this housing crisis of his protest, and indeed for more than a decade, is because, as his song suggests, some people make money out of other people's housing misery. And that is truly shameful. It is such an indictment of our society, and it is such an indictment of our government, that they represent the interests of the people who profit from the housing misery and suffering being endured by hundreds of thousands of people, tens of thousands who've gone through emergency accommodation, most shamefully of all, children, often very vulnerable children, pensioners increasingly, mothers, families, although everybody, individuals who are blighted by this. It just puts shame on our society. But if only we had 10,000 or 100,000 Martin Leahys, we'd solve this housing crisis. So, yeah, you've inspired us, Martin, and I hope you will inspire us to go on and fight and force this government to do something they should have done long ago, and put people before profit and give people the homes that they need.
Thanks very much, Richard. Well, it is frustrating and disgraceful that any of us have to fight for such a basic human right, but there has been very enriching things about this experience of doing this, and one of those has been meeting Sophia Mulvaney, which we met back in 2022, I think, there, protest. So I'd like to call on Sophia to say a few words. Thanks.
Hey everyone, I'm Sophia, and I've known Martin since I was 11. For context, I'm 15 now, so that's 4 years of Martin coming up to Dublin from West Cork and singing his songs. But it's much more than singing songs. Martin has worked tirelessly to give a voice to those who may not or may feel like they don't have a voice when it comes to the housing crisis. Personally, I think it's extremely inspirational that he's kept going for so long, as I know how easy it can be sometimes to feel disheartened or like there's no point anymore. Despite this, Martin has persevered and kept on fighting the good fight. Outside of activism, Martin has become a great friend of mine and my dad's. He is such a compassionate person with a brilliant sense of humour, and I have had the great pleasure of getting to know him over the years. Whether it be when we come to see him singing here on a Thursday afternoon, or when he comes along to a protest, we always have the best laughs with him in between all of the seriousness. I hope one day that I'll be able to make as much of an impact as Martin has. I hope one day that I'll be able to make people feel seen in the way Martin makes us all feel seen. And I hope that one day I'll be able to have the same courage and resilience that Martin has shown again and again over these past 4 years. Thanks, Martin, for all you've done for us, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Sophia. Thanks so much. I'd like to call on Oner Brin to say a few words. Thanks a million, Owen. Thanks for everything.
Four years ago, when Martin first stood here to sing Everyone Should Have a Home, we were 6 years into an ever-deepening housing crisis. Homelessness was at record highs, rents, house prices were through the roof, and social and affordable housing targets that were too low to begin with weren't being met. And I think many of us thought at that stage it simply couldn't get anywhere worse. And yet, here we are, 200 weeks on, and not only is this government, as Richard rightly said, not fixing this housing crisis, but they are actively implementing policies to make it worse. The government's solution to the housing crisis of young people, of pensioners, of people with additional needs, singles, couples, migrants, is to allow developers to build smaller, darker and ever more expensive apartments. That was the sole purpose of the rip-off rent hike bill that was rammed through the Dáil only a matter of weeks ago. And to make things worse, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael councillors and others are now going to force council tenants in Dublin City, in South Dublin and elsewhere, including HAP tenants and tenants living in some of the worst accommodation in the state, or flat complexes, to pay even higher rents. Doesn't matter if there's rats, doesn't matter if there's mould, doesn't matter if your flat is built to a standard from a century ago, they want you to pay more rent. And while everybody I know in this crowd is involved in housing activism, whether you're in the Dáil, in the councils, in your workplace or on the street, but what Martin has done for 200 weeks is very quietly, with great dignity, with great compassion, he has taken that journey from Cork to Dublin to say something very simple, very powerful and very profound. That every single human being has a right to a safe, to a secure and to an affordable home. And for that 200 weeks, we owe Martin an enormous debt of credit. So folks, here's now what we have to do for Martin. He has come here and he has protested. He has inspired. So what do we have to do? Our job is now to ensure that on Saturday at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the Garden of Remembrance, we have not one person, not 100 people, but thousands of people. Yes. And then from there, in every single possible opportunity, we organise, we mobilise, we shout and we demonstrate until everybody has that home to which they have a right. So please, Saturday, 1 o'clock, Garden of Remembrance, stop the council rip-off rents, and then every single opportunity after that, protest. We owe it to Martin. 200 weeks, he's done it for us. Now we have to do it every single week until this housing crisis is resolved. So Martin, thanks very much.
Thanks all for all the support over the years as well. I'd like to call on what I was talking about community earlier, and another great enriching thing has been getting to know Frank O'Connor and Jude Cherry, so from Derelict Ireland. So I'd like to call on Jude Cherry to say a few words. Thanks very much, Jude.
So thank you, Martin, for inviting me to have a talk today. It's been an honour to be here for your 20th, or 200th, 200, that would be, yeah. So we often hear that the solutions to the housing crisis can't be implemented because they won't work overnight. Yet, a decade of the housing crisis, it's become very clear what the government's housing policies actually are. When Martin first stood here 200 weeks ago, there was just over 100, sorry, my fingers are all over today. There was just over 10,000 people living in emergency accommodation. The then Fianna Fáil housing minister claimed that we're slowly turning a corner on housing. And what a corner we've turned in the last 200 weeks. There's been a 65% rise in people living in an emergency accommodation in the last 200 weeks, in nearly 4 years that Martin's been coming up here every single Thursday. What a massive success this has been for the government, for anyone who doesn't believe that everyone deserves a home. Martin knows that culture requires time to change. And it requires time to ensure that we have equality within our housing system, that this takes time. It takes commitment, it takes persistence, and it takes self-sacrifice. And Martin has demonstrated all of these qualities 200 times. He's shown how we can all play our part, creating the change we want to see. Don't underestimate the toll that coming up here for 200 weeks has had on Martin, spending his own time, giving up 200 Thursdays, travelling from as far as Ballydehob, where he was with 300,000 people in this country living in hidden homelessness. It's unacceptable. Me and Frank have felt privileged to be able to join him so many times over the last 200 weeks, getting a glimpse into the journey that he's taken, getting on the bus in Cork. He's had to drive up to Cork City. We've joined him in Cork City, getting on the bus. We've had great chats and got to know each other, become great friends in those times that we've joined them. But don't underestimate the impact that Martin has had either. The people he's inspired, the community here that he's nurtured, the creativity among the housing activists that he's unlocked. We personally have been so inspired by Martin. It's really helped us going. Seeing him come up here every week has helped us keep going and inspired us to expand our own artwork as well. Don't underestimate the people power that Martin has demonstrated here. He's been a weekly reminder to politicians that housing is a basic human right. A reminder that some politicians don't want to see, because we've stood here with him and watched politicians scutter past us, avoiding eye contact with us as they've gone into the Dáil. We will miss Martin's weekly by rising